Hello. Hi.
Hello. Oh my gosh. We are back.
Well, yes, we are back for our second episode of Things That Matter.
Yay. Welcome back.
It's still so surreal that we have started two episodes of the podcast series. I feel like we have already achieved quite a bit in the new year, considering how much we have picked up on like the tech stuff
Oh, I mean,
over
I
the
mean,
past month.
it's been tough. It's been tough. Let's just say,
It's like
yes.
it's like every morning when I wake up. Okay, not every morning. It's most mornings when I wake up and I look at Michelle. She like send a whole list of messages and all about like, oh no, this tech issue. How can I do to solve it?
So a very quick background, but I was the one editing the videos, and like because it was an hour and a half, and like yeah, we were just having a lot of trouble. And yes, yeah, Belle will wake up to like a wall of text to like all my live reactions. I'll be like, hey, I'm gonna try it now. I'll be like, oh crap, it doesn't work. Then oh, I fixed it. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. Thanks for editing and persevering and we finally have our YouTube channel.
Yay!
I
The
can't
video is
remember.
up.
Yes, but I can't remember off the top of my head what is our what do you call it? Name.
Oh,
I think it's
the YouTube handle, it's Things
yes.
That Matter Podcast. So
Okay, I think we'll just link it somewhere on social so that like the rest of you can, just click on it and check out our videos.
yeah.
Wow, it sounds like it has been quite a long month for us, for you.
Super.
But on that note, I mean, since we are starting an episode after a month, maybe let's first start off with a vibe check. So, what have you been up to, or how have you been, Michelle?
Ah, great question. So, at the last recording, I was still in the midst of recovering from a really bad flu. So happy to share that I am now 99% recovered. Yeah, and also because of my new gym rat status, I can tell you I feel better because I'm able to crush more weights and like really do much more at the gym. So yes, I'm really glad about that. Yeah, I'm
Yes,
doing
I am
well.
so proud of you. I love that word gym. I'm going quote unquote. I'm going to the gym now. It's like a regular phrase that I'm hearing from you.
Yeah, my goodness, Belle was replying my like Insta story. She's like, I love that you like talk about the gym a lot more now. I'm like, okay.
We have more things in common now.
As if the podcast is not enough, but yeah.
Yeah, your overly attached friend.
So how are you, Belle? It's been a while.
Yeah, it has been a month. I think we have been chatting quite a bit but I think mostly it's all about,
Mm,
oh, how's the podcast? When are we posting this? What's the caption? I think that's our conversation for the past month. In terms of how, yeah, so we haven't been really like asking each other this question. So this is the first time I think.
mm, that's
I
true.
think the past month January has been very fast because I think once the new year started, it was just really like a lot of doing. I know this is contradicting what we were saying in our previous episode about like the being and not the doing. But yes, I found myself doing a lot more. My calendar was so packed because of
Mm,
work and of like this marketing program that I was part of at work and also the podcast and also some other stuff. So I think my calendar was so packed and it was like 2 weeks into the year and like I just realized that I've not slowed down. So I think right now I'm just trying to find back the momentum of, finding a balance between resting and giving my best in like, all areas of my life.
it's
Yeah.
okay. I'm pretty sure like a lot of the things that we talk about, we always just end up like having to preach to ourselves, right? But
Yeah.
but I mean, you're doing well. You are resting now, right? Right?
Yes. I feel like I can only
So
say yes and
aggressive.
not no.
Sorry.
Yes, I'm reporting live from Bali.
Wow,
Oh, you can't really
again.
see it, but I'm trying to. Yes, again. Yeah, so I think this trip I brought a book with me. Because I think for the whole January I haven't been able to read a book, which is so unusual again. So I'm hoping
Yeah.
to complete this book by before I go home. Yes, so it's this conversations in love. Was it on? No, wait, sorry, conversations on
On
love.
love. On.
Yes,
Yes.
yes, and you
We
are
have the
not
same
saying
book.
double. We have the same book. It's so funny because we bought the book at the same time. Was it at the
Was it
same
the
time?
same
I think
time?
around the same period, but we didn't tell each other, and we are reading it at the same time. So I think Shell she brought it when she's overseas, and I brought it.
Yeah.
I bought the book when I was shopping, window shopping around Kinokuniya, and I thought like this book sounds interesting. So maybe brief summaries.
Yeah.
I love this book because it's about love between like many different people, right? Like with your parents, with
Mm.
your friends, with your siblings, with your partner, with strangers. So I think it's like when it comes to the topic of love,
Mm.
it's not just like, oh, must be a what do you call it? Like a partner thing, right? Like there are so many different forms of love in the world. So this has been quite a mind opening book. And
It's
maybe,
true.
I mean, since we are now in February, or we are
You'll
recording
be
this
you'll be
by,
hearing this in February.
yeah. So, I mean, February, I think it's a month of love because of Valentine's Day. But I mean, there are also different variations like Galentines.
Galentines, people.
Yeah, and maybe for today, we want to talk about the gift of friendship. Yeah, so
Yeah,
like
it's true.
yeah, so I think from this book it has been quite an eye opener for both of us, and I think one aspect of love or like relationship that Natasha the writer spoke about was friendship. So I think this is not something that we usually talk about, like a gift of friendships, because we always talk about like, oh, I'm getting married, I'm getting attached, I'm doing, it's like we don't talk about, oh, I got a
Yeah,
new friend. Yeah,
that's so
so
true.
I know. So maybe let's start off with a very simple question. Like, what does a friend mean to you or like to us?
Yeah. Wow. I you know what? Like I I've been thinking about that as well. Like, what does a friend mean to me? And I think, I mean, it's a bit of a sidetrack, but I think it's important. I think my definition of friendship has completely evolved like over the years. So I don't know about you, but when you're in like primary school, when you're like, like below the age of like 12, or like, so like 4 to 12, maybe, when you can understand the concept of what it is to have friends,
Mm,
right? Yeah, like, I don't know about you, but I will always be in this situation in class where it's like, a friend doesn't want to lend you her pencil. You're like, oh, I don't want to friend you anymore. Yeah, and like, I feel like at that age, the friendships are kind of that way, a bit volatile, but at the same time,
mm-hmm,
you don't really mean it when you actually say, I don't want to friend you anymore. Um, it's like, it's very petty, but at the same time, you don't really understand. So I feel like at that stage, I was just sailing along in life, having those like extreme moments where you're just trying to figure out what friends are really for and
mm,
what they mean to
mm,
you. But I would say, like as we grow older, like, I had a different definition of friendship, and I think
mm-hmm,
especially in like last year and this year, in the 3 weeks that we've had this year, I feel like my definition of friendship has changed again. And um, at this point, honestly, I'm not super sure what my definition of friendship would be, but I think if anything, like a baseline for me is that we can have many friends, and I think there are different friends for different reasons and different seasons. And so it's so hard to lock down what friendship is, but I think at this moment, I would say it's just the people who choose to journey with you and be with you at
Mm.
different points or like events in your life. Like some are there like all throughout, some are there for like one or two specific things. So I'm still figuring that out, but I think that's like a base or a foundation of how I view it now. I don't know if you feel the
Mm.
same.
Mm. Yeah, I was just about to point out, like, I mean, since you're reading the same book, I think what I've got from the book was also like how friendship is like the foundation of all relationships. So, for example, I don't know whether
Mm.
you have heard before, like people saying, "Oh, you know, my mom is my best friend." Like I'm marrying my best friend. So I feel like friendship is really like the foundation of every friendship, every relationship. So yeah, and um I think friendship it's like something that grows with time too. It's not like
Mm.
for example, if you were to meet someone in your high school days, like this person will remain the same, or like the friendship will remain the same throughout. I mean, until you age, right? Like you're right.
Mm.
I remember you were saying something about like how even the friendship between both of us, like it has evolved over the past 1 to 2 years. So it's
It's
also something
true.
like yeah, it's also something like we have met each other, I don't know what, 2017, and
Yeah.
it's only the past 2 years that it has evolved. So I think in short, friendship is something that grows and change with time. It gets better, or some people are just there for a season in your life, like what you just said. Yeah.
Mm.
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 But I
Yeah.
think, yeah, I was thinking about what does a friend means to me too. And I think last time my impression of a friend is that like they are people who accept you as you are, right? Like regardless of your personality or like your habits, like they will quote unquote they will love you as you are. But I think in the last few months, my idea of a friendship has changed slightly because I feel that I want to add like another level to what a friendship means, which is not just accepting you as who you are, but they
Mm.
also challenge you to be better, who pushes you
Mm.
to be a better person. Yeah. And I think they
Yeah.
are like the people who are not afraid to say that, okay, this is wrong. Like, you should do this, you know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But I would I will also say that that takes a certain level of friendship and
Mm,
trust. Like you can't just be friends with someone for 3 months and like receive some sort of criticism or feedback as opposed to say a friend who has really invested in you. Um, and I mean, okay, maybe let's not talk about time, right? I think it's possible to have deep friendships in a very short span of time, but I think the point is that there are certain sort of like growths and like different milestones in some way that like you have to hit or you have to overcome in order to earn or gain that trust in order to be that friend who can call you out as well. So I
mm,
don't think it comes easy though.
mm, mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like having that shared experience
Mm,
and
mm,
yeah. Okay.
yeah. I think when you when you talked about how I did mention on our very first episode our introduction episode, that our friendship has evolved. Like, I think that, at least from my perspective, I don't think we had deep conversations or shared experiences in terms of being like vulnerable or having vulnerable moments
Mm.
that we actually shared. And so I think there was a very different depth to our friendship. So how I viewed it was like, maybe in the first few years of us getting to know each other, we're just having like fun, right? Like, you're a fun friend to hang out with, let's go to museums, let's have brunch. But it's really in the past 2-ish years that I felt like we've both gone through stuff, we've shared a bit more.
Mm.
And as we spoke about, with regards to our year last year, I think there were quite a few vulnerable moments where we, kind of lent support to each other and openly shared about like how we were feeling, and our raw emotions, and anger, and like sadness. So I think, to me, like, I know you were like, how has our friendship only gotten like better in the past 2 years? But I truly think it's just the depth and how vulnerable we were willing to be, that, you know, resulted in
Mm.
growth, right? Like you said.
Mm.
Yeah.
Mm. Yeah, you're right. I'm not sure. Okay, so for me, this is something new and something that I realized recently is that I have this chart of like for different levels of friends in terms of like
Whoa.
how okay, not exactly like okay you check this so you are like level A or like level B. But I
Yeah.
think generally it's in terms of how I view my closeness to a friend is how much I am willing to share. Because I think,
Mm.
okay, going back to me being a PR person, like I mean, for me, I always know the right thing, or at least I think I know the right thing to say at the right time to the right people.
Yeah.
So I will tell you this, but I won't tell this person that. So in terms of how close I am to a
Mm.
person, is like how much I can be vulnerable or like open to share about me to the person.
Mm.
Yeah.
I agree. I agree. It's like what's that? An onion of sorts. Like, who is like at the center,
Mm.
right?
Mm.
And then it goes like, the outer
Mm.
circles. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Actually, you're right. Now that you brought it up, it's like I think when we first started off, we are all about like having fun, catching up once in a while, but we go out and do fun things. I mean, we don't talk about like our life, but it's not as like open.
Yeah, yeah. It's true, but I
Mm.
would like to think it comes with age as well. I mean, if you're like much younger, like, what kind of problems do you have? I mean, I'm not saying that those problems are like, like minor or
Yeah.
anything, but I think it's like what we talked about, in the last episode,
Mm.
right? I mean, we went through a period of like grieving, and we went through periods of times where we like aren't really sure of ourselves, and I feel like that
Mm-hmm.
doesn't really come into a bit of a later age, which is kind of where we're at now.
Yeah.
Oh, we sound so old.
Oh, but mature and young at heart. Okay, scrape that.
Yes. Yes, no, that's fine.
Yeah, I think just I also thought about this part on like whether it's a low maintenance or high maintenance friend, because I think it's been quite a common catchphrase, like at least for me in my life and my circle. Because I think over the past few years when we were like I mean when we first met each other, we always meet like I think once a quarter or something. But I think over the past few years or past few months, we have been meeting up a lot more spontaneously, and I think that's also like how spending more time together also open that conversation or get to know about each
That's
other's
true.
lives more. So on a
Mm.
fun note, would you consider yourself a high maintenance or a low maintenance friend?
Wait, are we rating each other, or we're rating ourselves?
Wait, no, you rate yourself. What would you?
Okay. No, it could be like what you think I am, you know, am I high maintenance, am I low maintenance, and vice versa. But okay,
Oh,
do
oh,
I want
okay.
to
I
know your
can read you.
answer?
I can read you later.
Ooh. Okay, to be frank, I it for me, I think it it depends on which perspective you're coming from. So I would like to think that I'm relatively low maintenance, but I'm very, very aware of what my love languages are. So for me, quality time and words are like super, super high on the charts for myself. So quality time would mean that, you know, I will need to spend time with my friends. And to me, I mean, now like, you know, at this point in our lives when we have like work and like hobbies and like the gym, like
You have one new
setting
thing.
like carving out time to meet a friend and have quality conversations is a commitment in itself, right? And so that could be viewed as high maintenance. And then there's also the words aspect for me, which means that like I actually like to text my friends and like hear from them. So that could be another commitment in itself because I'm like at the back of my head, I'm like, why is nobody replying me? I need to feel love. Where's everyone? Yeah, so I mean, I would like to think I'm low maintenance, but it really depends on whether like my love languages are fulfilled or met. And to
Mm,
fulfill and meet those love languages might take some effort and commitment. So
mm,
honestly, I'm on the fence here, but if I really, really had to choose, I think I will personally lean towards slightly high maintenance just because of the amount of like commitment and exchanges I guess I naturally expect.
mhm,
Yeah, so that is my judgment on myself.
mm. Okay.
You look very surprised.
Yeah, cause I mean you. Okay. Wait. I just realized I'm gonna judge you.
It's okay.
Cause okay, I'm gonna judge myself first. Cause like for me, I think I am very low maintenance friends, and with all my closest friends, and I always see them very low maintenance. Cause you know, but I judge that based on the frequency of our meetups. So
Mm,
usually, like the closer we are, the lesser time is we meet in a year. So I can like meet my best friends 2 to 3 times a year, and people will be like, huh, what do you call them? Your best friends? And the thing is that even when we don't meet, we don't usually text because I think most of us are not texters. But
mm.
when we do meet, it's like time has like you guys have been catching up with each other. Yeah, so
Yeah,
it's like no
there's
time
no
has been
gap.
lost.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So I would say I am a low maintenance friend, but then when you brought up that you are high maintenance, but it's because of like your love language, when you like from words, right? You will need time to, send that message or something like that. So maybe I don't know. Now I'm like trying to think of who am I?
Oh crap, did I just throw you into an identity crisis?
Maybe not. I'll think about it.
But I mean I
Yeah,
have
but
to say that okay, at least between two of us, I I really enjoy our spontaneous meetups a lot. And even though
me
it's
too. Mm.
frequent, even though it's frequent, but it's like last minute and it's like non-committal in some sense. So it feels like our friendship is low maintenance, if anything. Like, but I thought that your perspective was interesting because you are literally low maintenance in that you see your best friends 2 to 3 times a year, and yet even though I see you so often, it feels low maintenance because it's not like I have to go out of my way to be like, hey Belle, do you want to hang? Let's plan for this. Like it's just
Uh-huh.
like like that. So to me, that's not that it's low effort, but there's no like like a bunch of like thought and like pre-planning that needs to be
Yeah,
done. So it feels low
yeah.
maintenance.
But
Yeah.
going back to your point, I love our spontaneous meetup. But I don't know whether that's because I'm learning to be more spontaneous in my life. But sometimes how we usually meet up these days is like when you see my story or when I see your story, hey, you're in the area, let's get a coffee. And
Yeah,
I
yeah.
love those.
Yeah, yeah, I love it too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think at the same time, but I'm also wondering if I am turning to a high maintenance person, because high maintenance friend, I mean, because I realized I started texting a lot more. It's like, sending a casual text like, hey, I saw this and I thought of you, or like, on Telegram. Then you taught me how to take that Telegram video
Oh,
thing. And it's like, hey, I'm here. And you just send a video to like your friends. So it's like it's kind of nice, when to know that when someone saw something and they thought of you, or you think of like someone
mm.
of the person. Yeah, it's like, oh, that's very sweet.
It's- I, that's not high maintenance.
Oh, is it? Oh,
I
okay,
don't think
can.
so. In fact, it's just you being intentional, but I don't think you expect it back, right? Do you? Do you?
Uh, Anxiety back meaning what? Like,
Expect a reply or
oh,
that
nah,
others will do the same for you.
no, 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 not really. Not
Nah,
at
then you're
all.
not a high maintenance friend, no.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because I mean, a text is a text, right? Like, even if you take 2 hours to reply me, like, I'm fine. Okay,
Yeah.
I am a low maintenance friend.
Wait, hold on. So what do you think I am?
I think you are a low maintenance friend.
Oh, okay.
Birds on
Then
the
it's
same flock.
me.
Eh? Birds on the same feather flock.
Oh dear.
Yeah, I think in terms of like keeping up, it's being that still making. I mean, even though we are like low maintenance, but I think it's still making the intentional effort to schedule in something regularly. So actually, I do keep a tab on like keep a tab on like my calendar on okay, so I met this person 3 months ago, so maybe it's time for like
Mm,
another catch up. Or like
mm,
I have this, I think I would say a weird habit, which is I actually have a list on my notes app, um because I don't meet my close friends so often. I think you aside, but
yeah.
the rest. So I do have like a list on my notes app that captures what was the last thing that me and my friends talk about, so that the next time when we meet we can continue from there.
Wow. Hey, that's a
Yeah, I
lot
think
of effort.
it's like, for example, okay, today I met Shell and she said, um, what is an example? Okay, she has a flu thing going on. Yeah, so that the next time when we meet up, it's like we can continue that conversation.
Oh, that's so sweet. That's really
Yeah,
sweet.
so I think that's, yeah, okay, low maintenance it is.
Yeah,
How do you usually keep up with your friends?
well, I don't have a notes app like you do. But I have to say that I thought about it before because I do feel like I don't know, getting old, your memory is not very good. But I would feel kind of like bad sometimes when someone else is like, hey, the last time this thing happened to you, like how are you? And like we talked about that. I'm like
You forgot
and
what
like
you shared.
yeah, and like I think for someone else to bring it up again is really nice. And I
Mm-hmm.
guess on the receiving end, it really makes you feel like, oh wow, like someone really put in effort to try to remember, what we talked about. And I think like even for you, like the act of writing it down, like it doesn't feel so I don't know, like when I was younger, I had this expectation of like, oh, you know, if you're my friend, right, you need to remember everything off the top of your head. But I think, I think as we grow up, I think the act of even writing it down actually feels more valuable because, you know, you took time to write it down and your intention was to remember. And so I think that's way more valuable than, you know, off the top of your head. I mean, that speaks volumes about your memory, but but
Don't call me out like that. Remember me.
no, as in no, I
Just
didn't mean it
kidding.
that way.
I
I'm
know, I
saying
know.
you're very, very intentional, and I love that, and I would like to learn from you. But wow, how do I keep up? Mm, I would honestly, I would scroll through my chats sometimes. Yeah, and I'll try to
Past,
like
you
if
scroll
I
through past chats.
okay, no, so for example, like on Telegram, I would scroll down like, you know, your feed, your main, because the recent chats are at the top,
Oh yeah,
right?
yeah,
So
yeah.
so I would scroll through that and I would see like who have I neglected. That is at
Oh.
the bottom. And sometimes I do that to kind of think about who have I not connected with in a while, or say maybe I have seen something really nice and I'm like, oh, I would like, you know, like to bless a bunch of my friends. And I will also scroll through like the chats just to like see, like remind myself who I guess I still like really, really want to make an effort to, you know, either meet up or like contact. And like sometimes I guess it makes me a bit sad that, you know, some of them will be like at the bottom, and I mean, that's
Mm,
not to say that it's a bad thing. You know, like you said, right? You barely even text some of them. Some friends that I have are not texters as well. So I
yeah.
would find them at the bottom of the list too. But I guess for me, at least personally, that is sort of a reminder for me to catch up with them. Even if so, if they don't text, then I would text them to be like, "Hey, want to meet?" You know. So
Mm,
that's yeah. I guess that's something that I do, and yeah, meeting up with people is one of my favorite things. So um yeah,
time.
it's not hard to meet non-texters.
Yeah. You see, you're also doing like your own way to catch up with your friends, like scrolling through past. Actually, I have not even noticed because okay, for me, because I really am not a text person, so I will not like see. Okay, I texted you 5 months ago, you know. So yes, that's a. I think it's a different way of being intentional about um like building or like nurturing your friendship, right? Yeah.
Mm, yeah, but my like I do feel like there are some friendships that have definitely evolved, and I mean, to be really frank, even though I see them at the bottom of the list, I do ask myself like, you know, is it time to reconnect and like restart the conversation, or you know, is it something that I really don't have time and energy for? And I feel like we've, you know, like chatted about that in the last episode a little bit about, you know, where are we going to prioritize our time, and
Mm,
um you know, like what do we have energy for and what do we want to
mm,
do, you know, in 2023. And I did talk about like being a better friend as well, right? But
mm,
I I do feel like there are some friends that um we have drifted, and I do ask myself if, you know, I'm ready to be intentional about reconnecting at this point. And I do
mm,
feel like some of those friends are friends that I get upset at in the background. And I mean, it could be like, you know, a change in perspective, a change in like a stage of life. But I feel like if I were to restart the conversation, it might turn out to be a argument or me being upset at the other
oh,
person. So I feel like I've reached that stage of life, you know, where, you know, we have to like think about the friendships and whether it has run its course, whether it has a place right now, or
mm,
is it for later, or, you know,
mm.
just it just
Mm.
shelved for another time.
Was
Yeah,
that
a bit
why
sad.
just now you mentioned something about like friendships being, was it the was the word seasonal? You know, like some people are there
Yeah,
for a season.
yeah. And I I've been thinking about it a lot as well. And it's a bit sad to feel like, or like to question yourself if that season or that friendship is kind
Mm.
of like, I don't want to say over, but it's not gonna be important in this phase of life. And
Mm.
I do feel like there are a few right now
Mm.
that I'm, thinking about and asking myself that question. Yeah.
Do you believe that, I mean, wait, because you were talking about argument, do you believe that like friends who don't argue? Because something I was just thinking about like us in with our group of friends, and I think over the past since uni days we have not argued before, right? Or have we? I don't
Wait,
think we have.
so is that a good or a bad thing?
I mean, it's good because we are still friends. But yeah, I just thought about it like, because
Hmm.
there are people that you will bother to get into an argument with, but then at the same time, we have not that there's anything, there's nothing, I mean, there's nothing to argue about.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think my question is, do you believe that there are friends who don't argue? Or if you argue, does that mean that you are not friends? Does my question make
Mm,
sense?
no, I've thought about it before. I think one interesting memory that I have is that I went to Australia for the first time. Okay, I went on a friend's trip for the first time, and that was to Australia. It was
Uh-huh.
myself and two other girls, and I mean, outside of like going on exchange, like uni exchange, right? That would be like the first proper trip with friends. And when I came back, my dad asked me, "So did you guys argue?" And I
Oh,
was like, "No, why would we?" And I was convinced that that's like that's how good friends should be. And there were one or two other times when I went on other trips with friends, and my dad would just always ask me, "So did y'all argue?" I'm like, "No." And I think at some point I'm starting to wonder, is that a good thing or a bad thing? And like that, you now that you mentioned that question, I feel like I, at least for now, at this moment, I can't really recall if I have friends that I've argued with in recent times. And I can tell you that my like best friend, we argued when we were much younger, but now we don't. And those are very petty things, like we were saying earlier, right? I don't want to friend you. You never lend me your pencil or your book. I mean, we had different arguments, but I guess those were the types of arguments. But we've not
mm,
argued in recent times, so
mm.
I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing. For now, it's okay.
Yeah, but
And
actually, have you ever asked your dad why did he ask that question? Is it like, those uh what do you call that? Can't lost my train of thought. It's like those before, like people say before you get married you have to live together to see whether
uh,
you can you can live with each other before you get married.
uh, perhaps I think maybe it's just the idea that in like when we are like in close proximity, and if like I guess you rub shoulders too much in the same space too much, like there might be conflict. So
Mm,
maybe that's where he was coming from. And I
mm.
think I think my parents have gone on trips with friends, and there have been arguments. So
Oh. He was speaking from experience.
So
Sorry,
now
Papa
I'm not
Leong.
sure.
If you are
But
watching
now,
this, we love you.
but yeah, it's got me wondering if
Mm,
there is something wrong. I mean,
mm,
I'm a non-confrontational kind of person.
mm,
It's very, very, very difficult for me to have an argument. So I think that's why I question, if there's something wrong.
mm. So
Yeah.
recently, I had a few arguments. I think I was sharing with you before, and
Yeah.
I think it's not about like not having argument, but willing to talk things out. And I mean,
Mm.
it's not about whether you fight or not, but how you fight and the eventual
Mm.
outcome. So I think the other time I was telling you about like how I got into an argument with this person for 3 times in a week after I came back from the previous trip. And it was like I was so surprised because I mean I haven't had an argument with someone that I get with a friend, right? So I think I
Mm.
was a little caught by surprise, and I think to have it like 3 times in a week, it was I was a bit thrown off, and I was so affected the whole week. But at the end of the week, I think when we sat down and we talked, I mean, I sat down and I thought about it, and after that I sent him like a text to try to talk through things, and in the end it
Mm.
was really like different perspective, and also if we were to turn back time and were to address that, like for example him sharing his view at the time when something happened instead of just waiting it out until the next day or something, I think
Mm.
there wouldn't be any arguments. But I think on hindsight, like after the end of the 1 week, I was actually glad that we could have that level of friendship, of like closeness of friendship to, hey, this is what you did and this is how I felt, and I feel like you could have done this, like to talk about it
Mm.
maturely as adults. And I think I mean now we are fine, but I think
That's good.
looking back, it's not about whether we fight or not, but how we fight.
Mm.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's really true.
yeah.
It's the resolution and that process of, I guess, clearing up misunderstandings that's more important.
Mm, mm. I
Yeah.
mean, I could have given him the cold shoulder, or he just like, brush it off or whatever.
Yeah.
Friend to acquaintance, maybe.
So
Yeah.
I'm curious, would you say that incident has, improved or deproved your relationship, or have you thought about it?
Um, improve or deprove? I feel like it. I mean, I wouldn't say our level of friendship has changed. I mean, I'm honestly glad that we are like back to what it was
Yeah.
before we fought.
Mm.
But I think
Mm.
right now it's about it has helped me understand how like to communicate better with I
Mm.
mean the way you communicate with different people is different, right? So I think in this friendship, like how I communicate to him, and some of the things that trigger trigger him, like some of the even like a simple body language. So it's like I think I started to be more mindful about like these little actions or like the words that I use, that okay, let's skip this next time. Yeah,
Mm.
yeah, so I wouldn't say any changes to the friendship, but it helps like us to understand each other better.
Mm. Mm.
Mm.
I'm glad there's a good resolution and ending to that horrible week.
Yeah. Yeah, it was.
Uh,
Yeah, I remember I was texting you like, oh my god, we fought again.
yeah, I was like, oh no, are you okay?
I'm gonna lose a friend. Yeah.
But what you mentioned about communication is pretty good. And I think it's very in line with, I think like even this book, and like what I've been thinking about with regards to like friends, like, and so I mentioned that I'm quite non-confrontational, but I think in some sense I feel that might be a bad thing sometimes because it might mean that I don't communicate how I
Mm.
feel, I don't ask, the other person. Like, I think it just leaves room for a lot of assumptions and, like just, I guess, misconceptions maybe.
Mm.
And I feel like that's just something I can do better. I think even as the, like seasons, like for friendships, like change, like I
Mm.
do find myself also feeling like, oh, I need to step back or say take a breather from, I mean, okay, not take a breather from friendships, but to sort of reduce the, I guess, the mental load, or maybe like the social like capacity, like to lighten
Mm.
that calendar of mine, and that will probably involve some form of communication. I think,
Mm.
I mean, I don't do this now and I would like to do it, but I think it's just about, like, hey, like, I really love you and I really, really want to reconnect again, but this is a really bad time for me. And I think that's something that I would like to do more of. And
Mm.
even if I have to start a conversation, I feel like sometimes we just have to do it so that we don't
Mm.
leave another person hanging. Um,
Yeah.
but all that to say also, like, I do feel sad sometimes because I think there are some friends, like we all have our own things and our own issues, right? And I feel
Mm.
like when I don't hear from them, I'm like, oh no, like what does this mean for our friendship, And but if I'm gonna expect that of them, then I think it's only right that I try to do that myself when I'm in
Mm.
that situation myself. So
Mm.
yeah, I like what you said about communication, and I think like this book has kind of touched on it in many ways. And I think it's just the number one sort of killer, in friendships and relationships, right? Just the inability or the unwillingness to communicate openly. I think that kills a lot of relationships. And so,
Mm.
yeah, it's something I'm
Yeah,
thinking
and I think it's
about.
also like this idea of like, I mean, the closer you are, you just assume that the person knows you, even if you
Yep,
don't say, right? But I
yep.
think it's often like because of the assumptions that we make that might, just cause us like a friendship or like a relationship. Yeah.
Yeah, that's sad. But
Is
yeah,
there,
yeah, sorry.
so is that like the thing that you want to do this year? Like to be a better
Yeah,
friend?
yeah. Then I think interestingly enough, that's very in line with what I said the last episode that
Yeah.
I've taken a lot from different friends. I don't feel like I was a very good friend in
Mm-hmm.
2022, and so this year I'm not off to a very good start either. But yeah, it's only January. We have 11 months to communicate better and to be a better friend. Yeah.
We will keep you accountable. It's all recorded.
And all our, I don't know how many listeners we have, but everyone's gonna keep me accountable.
Yes. If you are a friend, you know what to.
Oh. But yeah,
You
Belle,
can do it.
but yeah, anything about friendships that you wanna add on this year
Mm.
after reading this book?
Mm. I think. Sorry, add on. Okay, no, not really. But I think I'm halfway. I'm three-quarter through the book.
Which page are you at?
I am at 149.
Yeah, about almost same pace. I am at 162.
Oh, okay. Oh, I just flipped to the end and I realized there are some further reading, so I'm about done. Um, yeah, yeah, it's quite. Yeah, I think just okay. So I'm looking at the time right now. We are like 50 minutes. I think it's I was just thinking, I mean, reading this book, one thing that struck me was that we don't actually need to, like keep looking, right? Like, for example, if you're single, you have to keep looking for your partner. If you
Mm,
are, I don't know, a parent, you look for like a, a relationship with your kid or something like that. Like, it's about being in where you are right now and really count your blessings and nurture like the relationship that you have with the people that are currently around you. So
mm,
I think in this year at least, like, friendship is really an area that I want to work on. I mean, knowing that how fun it is, to have like those spontaneous meetup or like those random texts. And it really doesn't take much effort. Like how long do you need to send a text to someone? So I think this
mm.
year is also one thing that I want to do for my friends. Um, try to annoy them more by
I
sending
will
more
be
texts.
waiting. Yay!
Yeah. Okay, you'll get more Telegram videos. Yeah, it's quite a good book and a good topic and a good start to February.
Yes, I have to say that I mean I think you felt the same way when we kind of like started on this book, and we did start kind of the same time too,
Yeah.
um that reading this I okay, like I really have to admit that mm, I have this mentality that love was only sort of confined to like romantic relationships, or I've already in my head kind of connected the two very strongly together. But
Mm,
I think in reading this book, like it also caused me to think about like the friendship love that I felt in 2022. So a very quick example would be when my best friend got married like a few months ago. And I know it's very corny to say this, but I was so shocked at how much love I felt for her in that moment. Like I don't think I felt that way before, and I don't think I felt that way towards a friend, but it was such a warm, comforting love to see her get married to her romantic love. And
mm,
it was just it was just a very, very, very new emotion for me. And I think when I read this book, and there's so much emphasis on how like love extends outside of romantic relationships, I was like, wow, like I felt that emotion recently, and I know exactly what you're talking about. And I think it really helped, like in the first few chapters, it really helped to reframe my
yeah.
perspective along with my recent lived experience.
Mm.
So I would say, get this book if you are looking to. It's not sponsored, obviously.
Yeah. I was like, should we do a shout out for Natasha?
Okay, but okay, I was a little embarrassed that this was the only book that caught my eye in one of the most historic bookshops in London, but it's a damn good book.
It is, it is. Yeah, I think because I usually buy and I'll give them away after I read them, but I feel like this will be on my bookshelf forever, and I will reread them at different seasons.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
let's do a shout out. It's like
Is
conversations
this the
on love.
thumbnail? Is this the thumbnail?
It can be conversations on love by Natasha Louis.
Yeah, highly, highly
Yeah,
recommend. And the one of the sort of reviews at the front says this book might just change your life, and I stand by
it
it.
did. Yes, me too. This is
I,
Sunday
st-
Times.
I stand by it. It's great. Just go and get it, okay?
Yeah, so good. All right.
Yeah.
I think with that we can wrap up.
Yes.
Okay.
Had a good
Um,
conversation.
yeah, it is. It's so refreshing. I don't know. I just feel refreshed in like after reading the book and talking about friendships.
Yeah, it's important. Yeah.
It is, it is. Okay, then yeah, so I think we will wrap up here. It's gonna be I'm just trying to think of all the things that we need to do. So I think we'll drop the link somewhere, but do check out our YouTube video, as
Yay!
well as social. We'll figure it out as we always do.
Yeah, and
All right.
if you have any episode ideas or any comments, feedback, can always DM us. We will have our email as well.
Oh
So
yes,
connect
that'd
with
be
us.
better. Yes, please tell us all the topics that you want us to talk about, or if you want to join us in our episodes, welcome, join us.
Yes, yes, we will welcome you into the conversation.
Yeah. Okay. Guess we can say bye now.
Bye. Thanks for listening.
See ya.